What's up, When I Grow Up listeners? We are here at Parker McGee's job site, where I, the host of the show, am going to be learning from hopefully the best. We know Wink's here, we know Parker's here. I'm gonna be learning how to put a floor in. He's yelling at me back there right now. Apparently I'm late.
Starting time 7:30.
I'm late. Harsh bosses at TSR here.
Prop it up like this.
This is the machine here that Jeff thought I couldn't get down the trailer. As you'll see in some video footage, I got it down no problem. Parker might be looking at a replacement. I was just hand grinding these edges right here. You want to show them, Dave? And Parker told me that I'm the first person he's seen not butcher it in their first time doing it. So he might be out of the job soon. I'm not sure. We'll find out on Tuesday on the podcast. See what Jeff thinks.
Yep.
Half and half.
Good math there.
I did go to college.
You were homeschooled as well.
Don't tell him that.
Hold on here. We want to redo this all? Freaking messed that all up.
So Jeff asked me to come out here today. Keep an eye on Parker. He's right over here if you want to show him. And he basically wanted me to make sure that he's not wasting the company's money. And I can tell you firsthand that he's not, because he made me show up here at 2:30 a.m.
Late. Starting time 7:30.
No breaks. No water. No snacks. And practically, he's a slave driver, so he's not wasting money. That's for sure, but he might be hurting morale and hurting my feelings. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes.
All right.
And welcome back to another episode of When I Grow Up, where we are following the story of Parker McGee, who dropped out of college, as you all know by now. And if you don't, go listen to all of the rest of the episodes. Please do yourself a favor. And he dropped out of college to become a partner of TSR Concrete Coatings, the largest residential concrete coating company in the nation. This show is built to inspire young people that there are other ways who knew to be successful in life that don't actually include going to college. My name is Joey, and I am your host. And today is a very special episode. In just a few minutes, you'll get to hear what it's really like working on Parker's crew. As most of you know from the last episode, I became a member of Parker's crew for a day, and it's pretty safe to say, from a quality standpoint and from laying the floor, Parker knows what he's doing. We've had some happy customers on the show. Just last week we had KJ. But how is he actually at leading people? I mean, if Parker gets his own location, he can only do so many floors by himself, and the only way he can really build a successful business is by successfully leading others. I would actually argue that that is the most crucial component in his success and success for any business. Anyone can really be taught, the process of laying down a concrete floor, building a house, but it's not quite as easy to teach someone how to actually become a good leader of people. So I'll start the episode off with a question for Parker. Do you think you're good at leading people? Now, before you answer that, I'd like you to answer it honestly, because during the day that I worked on your crew, I actually went around to some members of your team and I asked them what they actually think about working with you. And we do have that on footage. Is that right, David? Yeah. Yes, we've got that on footage. And I also have my own opinion. So Parker, what do you think?
I think it's been a heck of a transition from leading people of your own age to people that are older than you and who don't really know you. Being in high school, you're if you're a good athlete and come from a small town, it's pretty easy to be the leader and let people look up to you and follow you. While as when I come into TSR as an employee, who are they to listen to me? It's been difficult, but I think I'm finally getting there, especially with my second Austin. I think he's kind of caught on and followed my direction. So I'm getting there, I would say. It's definitely not where I want it to be yet, not to lead a whole branch of TSR, but headed in the right direction, I would say for sure.
So you notice some things that you could grow in, and you feel like you are growing in some areas.
Absolutely. I would say every floor you lay, you're earning that much more respect from other people.
Okay. Now, that was a good answer. Now, before I share my opinion, Jeff, do you think Parker is a good leader?
Well, I think it's a multifaceted question, right? Because, what is a good leader? And what that answer for this organization is a lot different than it is for other places, right? And so I actually had wrote some things down. Sure. As you guys were talking about that. So for me, here, it's work ethic and attitude are the two main components. We can teach you how to lay a floor. We can teach you the ins and outs of it. I mean, let's just face it, Joey. I mean, even you were able to do it, right?
Yes, I was.
But what I can't teach is the work ethic and the attitude, which Parker actually came in to this organization already with. Preparedness. So I've wrote down multiple things. So preparedness, making sure that a good leader is always going to make sure that his team is ready, right?
Sure. So
you get to the job site, you guys have everything. You've been on cruise where you get there and you don't have everything, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's not fun. It makes a situation stressful it doesn't even need to be.
Right.
Next thing I wrote down was positive attitude. I already said it once, right? So now we got to have, I'm reiterating the fact that positive attitude's huge. Managing the customer. So one of the things that I think that you just recently experienced the other day was, how do I manage a customer who's difficult, right? Not all the customers that we run into are difficult. In fact, 99% of them are fantastic. But sometimes we get into some commercial and industrial areas where there's a project manager or there's certain rules and regulations. And it's always funny because they invite us in to do the work for us or do the work for them. And then they want to dictate everything. And, I think you dealt with some of that the other day, right?
Yep.
And so are you managing your customer correctly? Help, to keep that pressure off of your seconds and thirds and the guys that you're working with. That's huge because you just want them to just kind of have a worry-free, positive day, right? And then I wrote positive attitude. One of the things that can kill a team is if a guy's just walking around being negative all day. Like, can you imagine on that job site that you were on, what it would have been like if everybody hated their job and was negative all day long?
They would have taken forever. Would have sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been fun, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, and then the very last thing that I wrote was you have to inspire others.
Okay. Break that down for me. How do you inspire other people? Like how can you force someone to make, change their own attitude with inspiration?
Well, I think it's the exact opposite of what you just said. You're not forcing them to do anything.
Yeah.
Why I don't force Parker to be here today. I don't force you to do the podcast. We did force E-Mark out. But any of the other people in this room, there is no forcing. So when you're inspiring somebody to, they feel good, right?
Yeah.
You feel good about coming to work. You feel good about the company you work for. You doing good things in the community. You're providing jobs. You're paying good wages. I mean, all of these things I think inspire people to want to come work with you and for you.
Yeah, and I would say that's a great answer. I would say, even from our last episode and a couple episodes before, no matter how good of an attitude you may have, it might not be possible to inspire some people. You've had some people on your crew, right, that may have been less than inspired, even though you were trying to do your best.
Yeah, I think it comes a certain point where inspiration can make it or break it. If you don't have it, then you might not have it. But if they're on the ledge, I think you're more than capable of being able to inspire someone to go above and beyond for you, for sure.
So, what about some of your team members that were maybe politely asked to not be your team members anymore?
I've actually found, I'll give Blake a huge shout out on this episode because I've heard that he has actually been awesome so far. And I worked with him a few times after, and I've told other crew leads, I'm like, dude, Blake's doing good things now. I'm like, he does what he's asked. He does it the right way the first time. So
Wow.
So it's maybe just
Blake?
it might take more
Maybe
time
it was
too.
the foot in the ass that you needed, right? And you know, or you always have to remember, like I tell you, when people come for us, they don't know, you know, and maybe you know, for Blake, maybe the way that he was treated at his old job was a reflection of what he brought to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just took a mindset and a little bit of time to change that. And what we found out is he's a great dude and he does a good job. It just took, you have to mold that a little bit. Now, is he going to be able to do that to everybody? Am I going to be able to do that to everybody? No. You know, but quite frankly, you know, what I love about our business is that we are a little bit seasonal, right? I mean, we're not out in February installing garages. You know, we're doing basements, commercial work, things like that. So it does slow down for us. And I think what it does is it allows us to reset. So if we've got guys on our team in any office that are a problem or just have a bad attitude or whatever, they're just not asked to ever come back. That's called a layoff.
Yeah, permanently.
It happens, right?
Indefinitely.
Yeah. So if you've had a bad attitude, you know, and you haven't been positive and you've been really difficult to work with and work around, or I've had to have those heart to heart and those just really terrible conversations with you, don't expect to be back.
Yeah.
Expect to be the first one laid off.
But it does sound like you have instilled values in the company where you're giving people a lot of time and a lot of chances to prove themselves or adapt to the company morale that you want.
Yeah, I think that you have to.
Some people don't realize that, though. I
No.
got to say, I've worked for some mean bosses.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people say that about me, Joey. But you're right. I probably do give way more chances than I should. And it ultimately, I will say it's backfired on me way more times than it's helped. But I've always just felt like it's the right thing to do. So
That's huge.
you know, I was, you know, let them hang themselves. You know, you don't have to do it for them.
But it also gives them an opportunity to prove themselves as well. So
Well, but you know what? If you save one out of 10,
that's a
worth
win.
it. It's a win. It's always a win.
That's so cool to hear. So I'm talking about leadership here. This episode is kind of centered around leadership as we were following Parker at his actual job site, kind of surveying him and watching and seeing how he's leading his crew.
Were you late?
Yes, I was
He
late
was
by
late.
I was late by 2 minutes.
If he rode in my
It was
trailer,
7:32.
I would have just.
He would have got left, right?
And the
would've
worst
been
part
gone.
is I live 0.8 miles from the job site. Yeah, I was late. But back to the important stuff. We don't need to talk about that.
We ain't talking about him being late. No big deal.
So leadership, it's almost talked about too much. Do you think there's too much of an emphasis placed on leadership and placed on the responsibility of the person who's in charge that kind of diminishes the responsibility of the actual crew members, or is it really the key component?
Yeah, I think Parker can probably speak a little more to this, but you know, actually, I think it's a self accountability, right? So I was talking with Chris last night, Chris Dichter, and I actually said, I go, you know, and I don't know if I should even be saying this on the air. I said, but if I had to pick two guys who aren't team leaders to come join my team right now, if I was going to be a team leader, I would probably pick Dimitri and Devin. I go, they're younger guys. They're always willing to work. More importantly, their attitudes are always positive. You never hear a bad thing out of them. And those are two guys that have really bright futures at our organization. But one thing that I think is always very important is that they're always very accountable, not just to their team leader, but they're always accountable to themselves.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of to piggyback that
Yeah.
too. I talked with Chris Dichter, and we were kind of talking about this is kind of goes along with the leadership aspect of things, but our job as crew leads isn't to just lay the best floor. Our job as crew leads also is to get our second home early, make them love their job. Little things like that, make that second come back the next day and be like, dude, what do you want me to do? I'll do. Last night I led Austin. We had a long day. Got home at 9:45 at night. And I'm like, dude, just get out. I'm going to go dump all 3 of these trashes. I'm going to load all the chip. I'm like, it'll take me 40 minutes, but I'm like, I'd rather do that and then have you come back tomorrow and just be, dude, thanks. Like, I got your back whenever. I'd rather spend that 40 minutes for him to have my back rather than make him drag him along with me to the shop and then the next day, maybe or maybe not have my back,
Right.
So getting your second home and doing stuff for them and showing them you're not just their boss, that I think that's really important, an important part of being a crew lead for sure.
You're actually leading them, yeah.
Yep.
So like I can't just blame everything that happens in my life based upon my leader. Like, we're in the midst of an election that should have been resolved by now, but so whoever wins, Trump or Biden, I can't base my life and blame them for the decisions that I make, right? Or can I?
I don't think that whether it's Trump or Biden, did it affect you as yesterday or today or tomorrow?
No.
Has it really ever affected you ever? You gotta.
No.
So you're right. You have to make that decision. You have to be self-aware and self-accountable. And I think that, we've got some younger guys that I think that they really do want to do it the right way, and they're going to be super positive for us.
Awesome. So now getting to what you're all waiting for. What I noticed, I know this is why you guys are still here on the episode. For my opinion of what I think of Parker, that's why you keep tuning in week after week. What I noticed about Parker when I was on his crew for a day was, so I did show up 2 minutes late. That was on me. I do only live 0.8 miles away, so that was definitely on me. I have no excuses. But right when I got there, Parker had me start right away, within seconds of me approaching the trailer. He's like, hop in, let's get this thing out of here. And it's the big grinder.
Big grinder. Yep, big grinder.
Okay, I've just been saying it really fast so you can't. Big grinder.
It's a Lavina propane grinder.
Lavina propane grinder. That might be the title of this episode. All right. So when I arrived within seconds of getting there, like I'm standing right by the trailer, Wink's, telling me I'm late and whatever. He has me hop in the trailer, unload this big grinder, and he didn't give me an overview of the day. He didn't tell me what we were doing. He just said, "Hop in here, see if you can pull this thing out." It's like he was like just trying to set me up for failure. That's what I felt like is that what you felt like, David? You were filming the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
You're kind of a little guy.
It seemed like he was trying to set me up for failure. And he didn't give me an overview of the day or the process. He probably didn't know I was taking notes. Didn't give me a timeline like, hey, we're supposed to have this done by this time with this size of floor, et cetera, et cetera. You could tell he was getting a little bit upset when Wink challenged him on some of his work. I don't know how well that day he was taking constructive criticism. Now, there was a camera crew and 8 other guys that showed up. I'm not 100% sure what they were doing. And they were being a little bit extra hard on Parker. So I'm going to give him that one.
Why were they all there?
I don't know.
Were they off?
I maybe shouldn't have said this on the air.
Who?
Wink and Dunn and everybody?
If they're listening, Wink and Dunn, you should have just stayed at home and let me collect that check because I did the whole garage. And you know it.
So the good news is all of those things can be fixed pretty easily, right? You could, and I was showing up with the camera crew. You know, I'm not actually being trained to work at TSR, so I know your mindset might have been a little differently. I was kind of hoping you'd treat me just like you would treat somebody that is actually being trained by you. So
you would have been told to go home. You were late.
That was, okay.
And all of the overview and timeline was already done before you got there.
Somewhat true. So all those things can be fixed pretty easily. I'm glad Jeff's backing up Parker here. But I gotta give the listeners some negative feedback from the day.
No.
Come on, I have to, or they're not gonna trust us.
Well, we also need you to be self-accountable.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I was late, and I'm sorry. But the good news is those things can be fixed pretty easily. But I will say what was really good is every step of the process, he did show me it very thoroughly. He was encouraging me every step of the way, no matter how the footage looks. He was encouraging me. Even when I messed up on some things, he wasn't saying, no, stop, just go home. Just stop, let me finish it. He didn't come in angrily, take the grinders out of my hands and stuff. He said, do it like this, 2-3 times, do it like this. And then I got it, and I actually felt confident and empowered to do what I was doing rather than nervous and scared, because he wasn't yelling at me. He wasn't saying, you screwed up the whole floor. We can, we can't fix this. We can't recover from this.
Well, I think the tooling can be a little intimidating at first, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What did you think of the hand grinder?
I've done some construction work, so I'm not completely unfamiliar with power tools, but I don't know how to tilt it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I
little
dug,
finesse to it, right?
Yeah, I dug a little bit too pretty deep into one spot.
It'll buff.
He buffed
That's
it.
what they were saying. That's how they were treating me. Him and Wink weren't yelling at me and saying, you completely messed this up. Please never talk to us again.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. He never spoke down to me, and his attitude. And I couldn't actually believe that you said all this, because this is actually a point that I wrote down. His attitude and his work ethic to get the job done fast and excellent was contagious. He was nonstop. We had a camera crew there. We were bothering him. We were raining on his parade a little bit, I could tell, because he would have had that done way faster had we not been there bothering him. But it was contagious. And overall, it was a fun job. All the guys were smiling and laughing all day. And there was actually two jobs kind of going on at the same time. There was a smaller crew on the, I shouldn't say smaller because you kind of did the floor by yourself, the garage by yourself, but there was a crew doing the porch at the same time. And Parker was back and forth. Hey, you guys good? You guys have what you need? He was constantly making sure both projects were going smooth. I did talk to some of his crew members, and I know I made it sound like it was going to be bad feedback, but I talked to one guy who you see in the intro of this video named Sean. We maybe don't want to say his last name. He's actually live in the studio audience right now. How's it going, Sean? Okay, just to prove you're here. Thanks for coming by. And Sean had really good things to say, almost all the same things I said. I said, is Parker hard on you? He said, no, he's honest, and if I mess something up, Parker's going to tell me not to do it that way, and he might even show me a better way to do things. So talking with his crew and observing him throughout the day, all jokes aside, I know we like to be funny on the show, but all jokes aside, I was thoroughly impressed. And I was actually looking for negatives. I was more so looking for negatives than positives, because we've heard a lot of positive things about Parker, and I was hoping to get some more negatives, but I didn't. And I think that
Came
says
back
a lot.
empty-handed?
Yeah, I came back empty-handed.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about Parker, that his crew is there having fun the whole time. Even Sean, I asked him, I said, how do you feel? He's like, I was up before my parents this morning at 5 a.m. I was in the kitchen, making breakfast, getting some coffee. He's like, and I had a big old smile on my face, and I'm excited to go into work today. He said that, and that's on footage.
Did you make your parents breakfast? Of course.
Yeah, of course
he did.
And he also, this is TSR, folks. This is TSR. We might have to include some footage of this if we have some. We also were able to witness Sean during, when Parker was big grinding or whatever, we witnessed Sean take a leaf blower out of the trailer and go across the street to help an elderly woman blow out her leaves in her yard. And he did that. He did that. Nobody asked him to do that. Well, maybe somebody did, but he did it anyway. And I overheard her offer him a Coke or a Sprite or some money, and he turned it down. I actually asked him for the Sprite, but he turned it down. He's a good guy.
Is there any chance you could go back and get the Sprite?
Yeah, that's it.
On second thought, I will take a Sprite.
Yeah, because
awesome.
as you saw, I didn't get any snacks or drink breaks in the video. So, But yeah, no, it was really cool. Overall, phenomenal experience. And what was even a little bit cooler to me was, as we were doing the floor, this guy who lives in the neighborhood is walking by, and he just stops and he starts watching us, and then he starts talking to us, and he's like, "Doing another one, huh? I love mine." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I just had my floor done by these guys. They're amazing."
It was the next door neighbor?
Yeah, they were really close. And then Wink's telling me, and actually we're doing this next house next, and which was right next door to this house. I'm like, so TSR is taking over this entire neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And
so you guys must have been in like Valley View or something.
Yeah, we were. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where we were. And everyone's spreading the word, and everybody wants one. It's infectious. So
well, as long as the crew is positive, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think about, even if you got a really great floor, say you were super happy with actually the end product, but the experience to get there was pretty shitty. Even though you're happy with it, you're probably not gonna recommend them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had, a similar situation with like the Great Escape. Product's phenomenal. The process to get there was terrible, and it made me like, as a business owner, I'm like, I'm gonna give you a 1-star review, but I didn't do it because, I know that those employees have their own processes and procedures, and it really irritates me when people give us a 1-star review. Actually, we just had a lady give us a 3-star review and put it on the review that I wouldn't post it because it wasn't a 5-star. And I'm like, I post almost every single review. Like, people just mostly give us 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
And there's 1,200 of them. So when you give me 1-3, it still averages to 5.
Yeah. Not technically, but yes.
But the thing is I don't know. I mean, are you going to make everybody happy, right? We talked about like I think that's something that we need to address as an organization, or and even as people who do business, right? So you have a business. This is your business.
Yeah.
I'm a client of yours.
Yep.
What do you think is a great success rate? Like you're gonna piss some people off, Joey. Believe it or not.
What I know from statistics, a good success rate is 1 standard deviation from a normal curve, which I think is 99.967 something.
Okay. Do you think that you're gonna make 99.96% of people happy?
I hope to.
Business?
I hope to, but I can't control other people.
No.
So.
But what would you deem a success?
Probably 90%.
90.
95. I don't know.
95?
I don't know.
Just give me a number. More than 90.
90.
Though, right?
I would say an A. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I had to sit down with our staff with, and we sat right at this very table, and we have, every month we have a handful. I would say maybe like 2 or 3 people that are just not, for whatever reason, we just weren't able to make them happy the first time, right? And those 2 or 3 people will absolutely demoralize your entire organization because they've tried. There is nothing we can do to make these people happy. It eventually makes its way to me, right? And you know how it can be. And there's nothing that you can do for them. And we sat at this table, and I go, guys, what's a great success rate? And they were like 95. I go, okay. We do 125 jobs a week.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't realize that.
125 jobs a week. And you guys are absolutely sitting at this table demoralized over 3 in a month. I'm like, you guys' positivity and the success rate is like way higher than what you just said. So you can't let these 3 people bring you down.
So they're focusing just on the negatives. So what would you say is a good success rate?
I would say that
a realistic one, I guess.
At our company, I'd say 98%.
Wow.
Now I will say on the before they're actually a customer, it's probably more like 95. Yeah. Why do you guys think that people would be upset with us before we even did the job for them? You guys can't think of one?
It's
because our company policy is we refuse to give a price without actually coming to look at the project first.
That's a good policy.
If you look at some of the reviews, there's maybe one that's like, oh, I hated my garage floor.
It's not
maybe one.
Our bad reviews are not about the garage floors or the crews or the people. They're very few. The bad reviews are from people getting online and saying what a piece of shit Jeff Gear is because he refuses to give me a price over the phone.
They're price fishing. Yeah. It's crazy.
And they get on and they write bad reviews. And I'm like, I'm not coming to guess. I'm not guessing. I'm not even going to try it. And furthermore, if you're not serious about the project, to get an estimate that's free and good for a year with no pressure, like, we don't pressure anybody to buy it.
Yeah.
You either want it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, quick side note, I saw a statistic that was talking about, a lot of people would consider 90% a good success rate. If you have 90% success in your business, that's an A, right? That's what you learn in school. But then it basically went and said, what if Southwest Airlines only got 90% of people's luggage to their final destination?
Oh my God.
How good does it seem now? 10% of all of their passengers don't get their bags. How good is how many people are flying Southwest after that?
Probably nobody.
Exactly.
But that's why I said 98, because I said
that's good.
I go, I know how many jobs we do a week. I know what our guys are capable of. One of the things that we have to combat all the time is weather.
Yep.
And being able to get these projects done in a timely fashion with weather and
things you can't control.
That's what our last 3-star review was over. Like, it was just it's like Murphy's Law, right? Like, on that particular project on that day, anything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Yep.
And there was nothing we were going to do to prevent it. And now there's nothing we can do to make them happy. So it's like, what do you do in that
move
scenario?
on, keep going.
Well, you just apologize and move on and
Focus that energy on someone that's gonna give you that 5-star review.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Because can't let it bother you, right? If you don't keep a positive attitude for the next guy, you're just gonna wear it all over your face.
Yeah, and then the next guy's experience might not be your best because you're down from the previous guy.
Well, you know what I've always hated about businesses, my own businesses included, is we give so much attention to the assholes that give you the shitty reviews and complain, and we give hardly no attention to the people that are so happy and gracious and thankful that you came out and did a good job for them and they got what they paid for. And that's actually, now that I just said that, I'm going to start doing a better job of that.
That's good. Good customer service. Yeah. That's really good. I was going to ask you, Parker, I want to start doing something on the show where we give the listeners some actual practical takeaways from, the different aspects of things that we were talking about today. So recap, we talked about leadership, talked a little bit just now about customer service. So in wrapping up this episode, I want to get some practical takeaways that the listeners can take from this episode and actually go apply into their lives in whatever situation that they're actually in to improve their situation, whether that's making a sandwich for Jeff at Subway and having a really lousy attitude like we heard in the last episode, or whether it's doing a heart surgery as a heart surgeon. What are some practical takeaways from this episode that you think people can go home and apply in their lives right now and see immediate changes?
Just like everything you've said, Jeff said, I've said, what's so bad in your life that you can't have a positive attitude?
Somebody might win this election. That could be bad, right? No,
sit down and really think. Look in the mirror. Jeff, we talked about this the other day. Go look in the mirror and be like, dude, is my life really that bad? People have it worse. I can guarantee you that. It's not that bad.
And also, if it is that bad, how did you get there?
Yeah.
True that.
Or what are you doing to fix it?
What if it's not my fault? What if it's my president's fault? What if it's my government's fault? What if it's my boss's fault?
Then it's always going to be someone's fault. If you have someone to blame it on now, it's always going to be, you're always going to have someone to blame it on.
What if it was just 2020's fault? What if 2020 was just 2020 and I'm so excited for 2021 and it's going to be better? What about that, Parker?
What if it's worse?
Wow.
It's
No, but I agree with you. I'm just messing with you. But those are questions I see people constantly talk about. Like the people who say 2020 was the worst year of their life, 2019 was also the worst year of their life.
Yeah.
Oh, it's always.
I was just actually going to ask you, like, well, what was 2019 like?
Yeah.
In 2019, you were saying, man, I can't wait for 2020 to get here.
I was actually just talking about that last night with one of my friends. I was like, people think this year was so bad. I'm like, I'm calling it right now. 2021, something worse is gonna happen, right? It always
Murder Hornets. Oh, that was this year. Sorry. But yeah.
It always has to be something
Yep.
worse just to give.
Yep. It's like it's a self-pity thing. Like, well, I personally, and I could be wrong, I can't speak for everybody, but I personally think it's people want to put blame on something else. It couldn't have possibly been my fault that my life is this bad.
Because they don't want to take action, Joey.
Right.
You know, it's so easy to just sit back and say, I'm not where I'm at, where I want to be in life because it's Joey's fault. Yep. Joey put me in this position, or I'm not where I'm at because I didn't. You know, it's never the it's not because they didn't do anything. It's because you didn't do it, or something got in their way, or whatever the case is. What Parker's trying to get at is it's nobody's fault but your own.
Wow.
Get out of the way. Get out of your own way.
Yeah.
And everyone, I feel like, has been there, right? You've
Yeah.
probably been there
Oh,
at time.
yeah.
Jeff's probably been there at time. I mean, I've definitely been there at time. It's just, it's how you minimize the amount of times that happens that you can sit back and be like, oh, that might have been my fault.
Well,
That's really wise.
Think about this though, right? Like, how many times have you heard somebody say about somebody else, like, man, that guy just always lands on his feet. You know, that guy's got the Midas touch. Does he have the Midas touch, or does he just make it happen?
Yeah. Does he just get back up onto his feet? Yeah.
He's just lucky.
Yeah.
He's just lucky.
Jeff Gear was born a success. You should have seen him. He came.
No, it's not even
there.
that. It must be nice.
Yeah, it
You
must
know,
be
like,
nice to be Jeff. You know,
not,
I'm
not
sure.
Jeff. Must be nice to be Parker. His
Yeah,
mom's making him dinner every night.
exactly.
My mom stopped making me dinner a long time ago.
Wow.
She's got the heart of a soul, or a heart of a
Saint?
angel.
Saint?
No,
He
angel.
doesn't even know. He's just
Angel.
waiting to go home and eat.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll edit that part out.
We're all coming. Yeah. No. So, what would that be the same takeaway
Heart
for
of
you,
a
Jeff?
soul.
So that'll be the intro.
We're editing that.
She's
part
got a heart of a soul. Everyone.
Parker, is there something you'd like
That'll
to
be
say
on
to
the
your
When I Grow
mom?
Up t-shirts available for
out. I love my
pre-order right
mom.
now.
She's awesome. I did my grandma's garage floor today.
Your grandma's?
She made us ribs and stuff. Great.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Wow.
We were done by 11.
Yeah.
With the ribs or the project? No, I'm sorry.
Work ethic is huge. Like, you know, what can you take away from this podcast is that you make your own future. You know, what can you take away from this particular episode? You know, sometimes the light's going to be on you, right? Like, you went there and you had video cameras all over the place and the spotlight was there, and, you know, maybe it wasn't the correct scenario for Parker to ultimately shine 100%.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you felt inspired.
I did.
Okay. The job got done, right?
Yep, it was excellent. Looked fantastic.
Everybody had a positive attitude on the job site.
Yep.
And what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I think that's excellent. So the practical takeaway from Jeff that people can go home with, you're saying, is it's your attitude, right? It's your work ethic and your attitude that you can.
Energy and effort.
Yeah.
Well, and this, you want to take a negative?
For the Subway
a
guy.
negative,
Oh, yeah.
a negative takeaway?
Sure. Well, we can
Stop making fucking excuses. Every single day, I am so sick of. You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of fucking coronavirus, for starters. Every time somebody gets a damn
He's not
sniffle,
sick with it. He's sick of it.
no,
by
I'm
the
not.
way.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. Every time somebody gets a sniffle, they think that they can either be off work or like oh, I got a runny nose, I'm off work for 14 days.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Stop blaming everybody else.
Yeah. Stop blaming that in circumstance, right?
Yeah. I would say one thing I've learned very recently, especially on this episode, if I know we're getting close to the time here for you listeners. Thanks for sticking with us this far. We love you all. What I would say is, if you're constantly going about your life looking for ways that other people can help you, you're going to be constantly disappointed and you're going to be constantly blaming them. But if you're going around throughout your life every day, constantly looking for ways that you can help somebody else solve a problem and you're getting good at that activity, you're going to, I think you're going to see success just guaranteed.
Well, I'll tell you this, just because I've been doing this for a long time. One of the things I realized right out of the gate, whenever I was a young sales rep, long time ago, was I could never be where I wanted to be if I only ever did it myself. In order for me to get to where I needed to be, I had to make copies of me. So I had to recruit, hire, and train other people to do as I do.
Yeah.
Thinking that you're the best person and the smartest person in the room all the time and wanting to be that person all the time, I will run circles around you with 7 other people that are just like me.
That's kind of a nightmare, actually, like envisioning that happening. Seven Jeff Gears running around you. No.
But real quick here to wrap it up, Parker's going to Madison.
Madison, when?
We just did the lease for the building and for his apartment.
So he graduated from 2nd grade to 3rd grade. Let's go, TSR Nation.
It's more like junior high, kind of, because like when he comes home from school, like Dad's not going to be there. And he's taking his little buddy Cap.
Really?
Yeah.
Cap's going.
Wow.
They're going. So it's kind of like he's flying the nest a little bit. I feel a little, I don't know, there's a little something going on there.
See if his wings work.
Next episode's going to have to be filmed in the Madison shop, huh?
I was just going to actually say, should we go out and do kind of a day in the life when he gets a little established out in Madison and see what it's like? Film that. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else either of you guys want to add? Sean, David, Will? We got a whole studio audience in here tonight. I'm so sorry. We might have to. I was just thinking, actually, I'm sorry this is going a little bit long. It's not the longest episode, but I was thinking, after COVID, of course, what if we did, because we are getting a decent amount of viewership and listenership, what if we did a live episode where we invite a group of people, some of the fans, to come out and we film it in, I don't know, somebody's building. You guys have quite a few buildings between all of you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
A live episode?
Yeah. A live episode with a live studio audience. Anybody that wants to come out, they can come out and watch the episode happen live.
I'm good with that. I kind of want to have Parker's dad on sometime, too.
That would be sweet.
Good luck.
Yeah. So
he's a busy man.
If you guys,
good luck.
if you guys made it this far in the episode, thank you so much. Drop a comment wherever you're watching or listening and let us know things you'd like to hear, if you'd be interested in coming out to a live episode. And this has been another episode of When I Grow Up. We will see you all on the next episode.